Wack 100 just destroyed Lil Meech in the most brutal way possible after shocking revelations came out that Lil Meech allegedly robbed a staggering $100 million off Rick Ross and 50 Cent. And in case you missed the bigger picture, yes, Wack 100 publicly roasted him not only for betraying and stealing from two industry moguls, but also went as far as dragging Big Meech into it, saying that this is what happens when a father is absent in his son's life. And what unfolded from there is left. Fans stunned, the rap community divided, and the internet blazing with drama that nobody saw coming. Now, let's dive right in, because this is not just a story about betrayal, money, and family legacy, but also about respect, reputation, and what happens when you burn bridges with the very people who built you up. And when it comes to Wack 100, one thing everybody knows is that he doesn't hold back, he doesn't sugarcoat, and when he goes off, he scorches the earth with words so sharp that even the toughest rappers have to pause and reflect. And this time, his target was none other than Lil Meech, the very face that 50 Cent once held up proudly as the torchbearer of a legacy connected to one of hip-hop's most infamous dynasties, the Black Mafia Family. Please do not forget to like this video, share, and subscribe to this channel if you want more updates like this. Thank you. Now, let's get back into the video. The drama allegedly started with whispers in industry circles that Lil Meech had been moving funny with money and opportunities given to him. And while Rick Ross and 50 Cent are two men who don't often agree on anything, what united them in this story was the fact that both of them ended up feeling betrayed by the same person, Lil Meech, the one who should have known better given the weight of his father's name. And when Wack 100 caught wind of all this, he didn't waste time keeping it private or subtle. He went straight for the jugular, speaking out boldly and calling Meech everything from a fraud to an ungrateful backstabber who bit the very hands that fed him. Wack 100 accused Lil Meech of first taking advantage of 50 Cent's generosity, claiming that when 50 put Meech in the BMF series, mentored him, gave him shine, and even shielded him from some of the cutthroat politics of Hollywood, Meech paid him back not with loyalty but with deceit, going behind his back, mismanaging money, and allegedly stealing millions. And as if that wasn't enough, after 50 drove him away for being unreliable and shady, Meech then turned around and did the exact same thing to Rick Ross, a man who, despite his feud with 50 Cent, still opened doors for Meech, gave him a seat at the table, and tried to build him up as a star in his own right, only for Meech to allegedly run off with money and leave Ross humiliated. But Wack didn't stop at exposing the money drama. He zoomed in on what he saw as a character flaw, saying that Lil Meech has no code, no principle, and no gratitude. In his rant, he made it clear that this kind of behavior is why the new generation of rappers can't stand shoulder to shoulder with the greats, because they're too busy trying to finesse their own people rather than build solid foundations. And then came the part that shook fans to their core. Wack took aim at Big Meech, saying that Lil Meech's downfall is proof of what happens when a man is absent from his child's upbringing, throwing shade at the legendary BMF boss for letting the streets raise his son instead of being there to instill discipline, guidance, and values that could have prevented all this mess. Fans couldn't believe their ears, because it's one thing to call out Lil Meech, but to drag Big Meech's name into the fire was seen by many as crossing the line. Yet Wack doubled down, saying that if people were going to praise Big Meech for the empire he built, then they also had to acknowledge the flaws in what he left behind, pointing to Lil Meech as Exhibit A of how things crumble when the foundation isn't solid at home. And that statement alone sent the internet into chaos, with half of the fans agreeing that Wack might have a point, while the other half accused him of disrespecting a man who isn't even here to defend himself. The betrayal of 50 Cent is especially messy because everyone remembers how proud 50 was to cast Lil Meech in the BMF show, how he stood on stage hyping him up, calling him family, and treating him like a son. So when stories came out that Meech allegedly stole money, skipped obligations, and even aligned himself with 50's biggest rival Rick Ross, it felt like the ultimate slap in the face, and 50, who is known for never letting go of grudges, cut ties publicly, sending subtle shots on social media, unfollowing Meech, and making sure everyone knew that the bridge was burnt beyond repair. And then comes Rick Ross, who thought that by taking Meech under his wing, he was not only giving him an opportunity to rise, but also spiting 50 by showing that even his protege could be flipped. But that plan backfired in the worst way possible when Meech allegedly pulled the same stunt, taking off with millions and leaving Ross exposed. And that's where Wack 100's voice became louder than ever, mocking Ross for trusting a snake, clowning Meech for biting two bosses, and ultimately presenting himself as the voice of reason who warned everyone that this generation is all about scamming rather than loyalty. The disrespect cut deep because Wack didn't just accuse Meech of being greedy. He painted him as the poster child of entitlement, someone who was born into privilege off the reputation of his father but lacked the work ethic, gratitude, and discipline to live up to it. And he emphasized that $100 million isn't just a mistake or a bad decision, it's straight-up robbery, and to do it twice to two men who gave you everything is unforgivable in the street code. Now, the fans are left split, because while some argue that Wack is just stirring up drama to stay relevant, others believe he's shedding light on what really happens behind closed doors in the industry, where betrayals are rampant, money gets mismanaged, and reputations get destroyed. And with Big Meech watching from prison, the humiliation of his son being labeled a thief and a traitor must sting in ways that no one can fully imagine. But Wack doesn't care. He insists that the truth has to be told, and that people need to stop glorifying names when the actions of their offspring don't match the legacy. And the internet, of course, has taken this story and run with it, with memes, debates, and wild speculations about whether Lil Meech can ever recover from being called out so brutally, whether Rick Ross and 50 Cent might actually find common ground in their shared betrayal, and whether Big Meech himself will eventually respond from behind bars with either a statement defending his son or silence that says it all. Because at the end of the day, the streets are watching, hip-hop is watching, and when Wack 100 opens his mouth, whether you love him or hate him, people listen. So what's next for Lil Meech? Can he repair his image after being accused of robbing $100 million from two of the most powerful figures in hip-hop? Can he still carry the BMF brand with pride? Or has Wack 100 successfully tarnished it beyond redemption?